So the theme of the day is fishing. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our daily success call. Any fishermen in the house? I know Scott, right? Scott's ready for the ice fishing. We don't do ice fishing here in Tampa because it's a cold January's day, 72 degrees.
Wow.
Oh, what a
Good
shame.
to see you guys. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we kind of chose this, right? Each of us are where we're at because of our choices, which I guess will be our theme for today. But good to see you all here. I especially want to acknowledge our new members who just got started, 6 or 7 of which I just got to meet this morning. So welcome, you guys. It's really weird for me watching Maggie. Can you guys see Maggie? She's like bouncing up and down. Like her environment is like dead still, but she's like bouncing up and down.
I know. Well, I had to take my dog out.
Yeah. You look like you're running, you're walking your dog and you're moving, but the landscape doesn't move. You're moving, but the landscape isn't moving. It's like dead stop. This is obviously false. Yeah.
I could do a backwards or forwards camera.
That's all good. All good. All right. Well, I'm in a relaxed mood today, my friends. I'm decompressing after probably one of the most intense moves of my life. And so I'm just I want to kick back with you guys. I got a fresh cup of coffee. This is not the cup that Missy and Jan made for me, though. This is my typical Harley cup. But I wanted to talk with you a little bit today about something that I think is relevant for everyone. And regardless of where you're coming from, one of the things that I think we all appreciate and that I mentioned when we first met in the welcome video. Some of you saw it today. You're brand new. Some of you saw it months ago. You've been here a while. But one of the things I mentioned was the various various forms of freedom that we can have as a result of our entrepreneurial endeavors. One was time freedom. One was financial freedom, increased financial ability, right? I would call that financial freedom. And the third was location freedom, which I was just reminded of today in a welcome session I had, but also just now as we were talking. And I was saying kind of jokingly, hey, Scott, we don't do ice fishing here in Tampa, it's 72 degrees. So that's fun, okay, to look at the contrast. It's winter, whatever that means where you are. And so the question then is, where are you? And is that where you want to be? So when I meet with people, and typically, with our first live session, like a welcome session, like what I do every day with our new members, one of the things that I like to find out a bit about is what do you want? Like, you're here for a purpose, I think, right? You weren't just bored and watching kitten videos. You signed up with a bit more purpose than that. I hope you did. And so I get to meet people from all over the world, just like who are on here right now. People from all over the world. Sometimes I'll ask people, so assuming you accomplish these goals, right? Let's say the certain amount of money, right? So here's 10,000 a month or whatever the initial goal is. Okay. What does that get you? I can tell you in a broad sense that money buys you options. You have options now. When you're broke, you don't have so many options. In fact, it costs a lot to be broke. I'm saying that, from I've had lots of experiences in my life, including that one, and it sucked. Okay, I had very few options in my life. Now I like having options. Some people say money won't make you happy. Okay, well, I like having options. That makes me happy, and money buys options. So do what you want with the logic. Given the choice to have time, money, and location freedom or not. In other words, given the choice to have options or not, I'll take the options, right? Because doesn't that also kind of translate into just additional expressions of our own self-determinism and entrepreneurship and like all the reasons we showed up here in the first place? I mean, if not, if you were just I guess, satisfied with your lot in life or whatever, you would have never enrolled, right? You'd be sitting in your cubicle or collecting the dole or something, right? But no, here you are, right? Reaching higher, seeking to be, do, and have more in your life. So part of it, what comes with that is additional causation, right? Self-determinism, creating stuff. And all of us to a degree are creative. So taking this from the micro sense of, I'm going to create coffee mugs or something, to the macro sense, I'm going to create a life. And considering these three forms of freedoms that I enumerated, right? Time, money, and location, considering those three, I think it's a good idea for us to really think on that and be like, well, assuming I reach my goals, I mean, I'm showing up here with a reason. I've got purpose. I've got goals. I've got targets to hit, right? And so let's say I actually hit them. Now, for some people, that's a new idea, right? They've been chasing the cheese, if you will, for however long. And sadly, the innermost expectation is that I will continue to chase cheese. I never actually get the cheese. But great news, everybody, the past does not equal the future. Unless nothing changes, right? And if nothing changes, well, then nothing changes. So you're here to actually achieve goals now, right? Not just to set goals or to talk about goals or this is what I want and won't it be great someday when? No. Let's craft this for real with expectation. So let's say you actually achieve these goals, whatever your goals are. Okay. And maybe you're not thinking big enough. Maybe maybe you are. I don't know. Right. Because we got lots of people on here right now. Where would you live? I mean, if you didn't have to, you're not tied to the cubicle anymore. Right. And I know we also have like family considerations. Oh, I want to be near the grandkids and whatever. Right. So that whatever's valid for you, I'm not dictating to you what you should want. I'm just asking you what you want. So let's say that you have the money, the options, right? So now you've got options. All right. One of those options is, where do you live? Are you going to stay where you are now? Is that it? Fine. Or not. I don't know. Look, I grew up in New Jersey. Nothing against New Jersey. We got people from New Jersey here, right? Fine. Not fine for me, right? I did that for the first 30 years of my life. And I was like, what's the opposite of this? Well, Arizona. Well, great, let's go. And we went. And I spent 20 years in the West. Arizona, Utah, a couple years in LA as well. Right. But I got to experience something very, very different. Why? Because I can do what I do anywhere. I've got location freedom. Granted, at the time when I was, I'm saying it was me and my fiance, okay, who's now my wife, Shannon, who some of you have met. At that time, we weren't rolling in cash. She was a school teacher making 30 grand a year, 40 grand, whatever it was. And I was running a failing tools franchise. I shouldn't say failing, just nonstop work, struggling. And also I had gotten into multi-level marketing, where I learned how to, in my case, where I learned how to end up $70,000 in debt. So in that scenario, it wasn't like, hey, we're rolling in cash, so now let's make some decisions. The decisions came before the cash. Is there, assuming she wanted to continue to pursue her teaching career, which she did for a time until we became successful in business, then she was out of there. But are there also high school kids in Arizona? There are in New Jersey. So there's an opportunity there. Go be a teacher, right? That's the opportunity. Does that same opportunity exist in this other, foreign planet called, Arizona? Yeah, it exists there. You could do that there. That's fine. You might have to get the certification or whatever they do. And I, my last stop in terms of like a job when I lived in New Jersey was in a car dealership. Well, are there car dealerships in Arizona. Oh yeah, yeah. They drive cars there too. They got all the modern accommodations. They got roads, air, gravity. Right? They got it all. Oh, great. We could do it there too. Right? Look at all this. So what an opportunity. So we made a decision, and the decision was we're going west. And we did. And we figured it out. And we attracted the money. We did what we had to do, right? I showed up there. Next thing you know, there's 10 million car dealerships. Yeah, I can go get a job if that's what I needed to do while I get this other business running. Again, I was not successful to the degree that I required success in the home business thing. But the point is that the decision preceded the means. So if we're looking at what we have or don't have to determine what we should expect, or our own anticipation of actually getting what we want, again, thinking of the three forms of freedom that I mentioned, money, time, and location. I'm leaning on location right now because it's one that we can all look at. And maybe it's not relevant for you. For me, obviously, now that you know a bit about my story, it was very relevant. We are going to Arizona, right? We did this just a couple of weeks ago. We said, you know what? 20 years in the desert, nice. Let's try Tampa Bay. Bam, here we are, right? So that decision preceded the means. Uprooting my life and all this, and you guys haven't heard from me as much over the last, like the holidays, right? I've been quiet. So we've got decisions to make. And then we can arrange the means. But you see that one thing, which you may, and again, this is different for everyone, but you may or may not have taken seriously as an actual option for yourself. Well, if you're here to make money and money buys options, well, where you want to live. And maybe it's just, right down the street in the better house in the same town that you're in now. Oh, okay, fine. That's bigger stuff, I suppose. But just considering location, maybe you like ice fishing. Well, you would not want to live in Tampa Bay. You'll be taking a lot of plane trips for your ice fishing, right? So wrong environment for you. Okay. What do you want? And my friends, it's actually easier to get what you really want than it is to get what you think you can accomplish based on yesterday's precedent, which isn't a precedent. That's just a demonstration of whatever your best thinking was yesterday. That's the effect of whatever you caused yesterday, right? But that effect doesn't create future effects. Causes create effects. So what do you want? Make the decision. And once you've decided, well, then you can arrange, as I think we talked about on Monday, you can arrange the receiving pipelines. Okay, well, what does it take to get that? Right? Those of you who are have gone through or shall go through our accelerator and our business launch session, one of the things that I like to talk about is the what I call SMART goals. Right? SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. Specifically, what do you want? Nothing vague about this. Measurable, what does it cost, right? Now we can quantify what it takes to get the specific thing, right? Achievable, well, does anybody else on planet Earth do that? Yeah, okay, great, that's achievable for me too. Relevant, right? I didn't say logical, right? Or reasonable, I said relevant. I really want it emotionally, right? There's an old saying, logical salespeople have skinny kids, right? You got to get emotionally involved with this stuff. What do you really want? Relevant. Which, by the way, just when you think of that, reminds me that nobody could set your goal for you, right? So while your goals may include another or others, right? Here's my husband, wife, family, kids, whatever, and I've got considerations for them as well, right? In my case, moving my family was not just me, not just a solo act, right? So there's cooperation, there's other, considerations in there too. However, when we talk about goal achievement, it's got to be relevant to you. So like my wife and I, we've got separate goals, And then we've got combined goals. We've got things she wants, I have no interest in. I've got things I want, she has no interest in. And then we've got things like more of a family kind of a goal. And then T for time, right? So SMART, T for time. And we've talked about this before. Parkinson's law, work expands to fill the time allowed for it. So when do you want that? And I think, again, just based on yesterday's demonstration of whatever you did or didn't do, a lot of times people give themselves too much time to accomplish a goal. You get to take lots of breaks, right? Because after all, I mean, I only performed at this level yesterday. So, should I really expect that much? Can I go that much faster? I'll tell you what, you can go exponentially faster. There's ways to do that. And again, it's not about being reasonable or staying comfy or anything like that. Balance in life comes later, right? That's fine. Okay. But right now, if you're about these goals, well, first of all, it doesn't even feel like work because you're just after it, right? It's like all you think about. All I could think about for the last couple of weeks was setting up house. You guys see I have books on my shelf now. I've got a bit of an echo in this room. I'm going to have to get some more furniture. I'm going to get a nice couch. I'm on Facebook Marketplace looking at black leather couches. I need a black leather couch, right? So I'm thinking of a fold-out bed maybe for guests, for when Scott comes to visit, do the ice fishing that doesn't exist, in Tampa Bay, right? And then, maybe I don't know, something else. But what was I talking about? Time, right? If we create some urgency for ourselves and say, well, if this is what I've decided specifically that I shall experience, and I'm deciding, well, then how long would I like for it to take to accumulate the means, the resources, the whatever it is, to actually experience it? How much longer shall I defer my experience? Well, as little as possible, right? Let's get on with it then. Okay, now we get to be unreasonable. Now we get to say, you know what? I make haste. We get stuff done. And this was one of the first things I had to learn how to do when I was becoming successful was reduce the amount of time it takes to get stuff done. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect, but as I've often said, imperfect and done beats perfect and not done, right? But that time, that's the big arbitrary one. Time. Sure, you can make $1 million. Anybody can make $1 million. And the question is, how long does that take? A lifetime? I hope not. That would be lackluster. Yeah, let's tighten that up. Anyway, thank you guys for, I hope I made some sense here today. If you got nothing else out of this, but except maybe some considerations, maybe revisit your goals, assuming you have them. If not, visit them for the first time and decide what you want. You want to live where you're living now? Drive the car you're driving now, right? Do the things you're doing now. I mean, if you're going to show up and invest time, attention, money, effort, right? Learning new stuff and all this, you damn well better get paid, I think. So to what end? To what end are you doing this? Great question. And with that, I shall cease my oratory and open up the microphones for everybody else. Thank you, guys. Scott, come on out. Save me, brother. What's going on?
Good morning, John. Yeah, very interesting that you separated the two aspects of this, the making of the decision and the figuring out how to do it. And I heard someone say once that once you decide what you want, basically get out of the way and it's none of your business how it's going to happen. All you got to focus on is knowing exactly what it is you want. You emotionalize that, you get focused on that to the exclusion of anything else that's not relevant in your life. And once you do that, the how-to will come. You'll find a way. And I think that separation of the two aspects, I think, is very significant because sometimes we can gauge our goal by the question of how we're going to achieve it. And if we can't see a way of achieving it, we modify our goal and bring it down, which is not the way. Because often that goal is the very mechanism by which we can become the person who is able to achieve that goal. I mean, today we cannot achieve the goal, but by continuing to focus on it, we become the person who will achieve that goal. Now, that could take a while if it's a big goal, or it could take obviously a lesser time if the goal is not quite as ambitious. But that's fine, because whatever that goal is, that will determine what you become as a person, I think.
Mhm.
So the how-to is part of the mystery, but it's also part of the joy, because the biggest part of the how-to is what you become. That's what people don't realize in goals. It's all about what you become as a person, because the person you are today and the person who achieved that goal, or who will achieve that goal, they're different people.
Mhm.
If you were that person, you would have already achieved that goal. The fact that you haven't achieved the goal means you're not that person yet. And that's the thing, that's the change that needs to take place. And that's the perhaps the most exciting part about achieving a goal, is what you become in the process, I think.
Profound. Profundities, ladies and gentlemen. Scott offers profundities. Hey, Scott, I got a question for you. Are you a balloon pilot? Do you run balloons?
No,
No?
I'm just full of hot air, that's all.
Okay, because I was gonna, that's the alternative. I was gonna ask you, like, how do you steer those things? I always wondered that. Does anybody know? So the balloon goes up, and all right, now it's up, right? And there's wind and currents and stuff. Well, how do you know where you're gonna land? I don't know. How do they do that?
I do know that with the balloon services, say, we have in Victoria, I think they obviously have an idea of which way the wind's going, basically, and the cars follow them around, so they hopefully come down before they get to the water.
Yeah, or on a super highway or something, drop in the middle of the interstate.
Yeah, they do land in strange places sometimes.
Oh, okay. So I guess that's some faith, I suppose. I don't know, or hope.
It's
hope.
Wind direction.
Prayer.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very
Yeah.
good. Thank you, Scott. Any other thoughts on this? These three freedoms and the decision you could make should you choose. Any other thoughts on this? Okay, laid back group. I'm laid back today. You guys can be however you are. Hey, Sam.
Hiya. Most of you know that obviously this was just thrown in my lap like the week after Christmas for me to do, but I'm determined that I'm going to get somewhere. I have to get somewhere. I have no choice really, due to COVID messing up our livelihood that we had and stuff. So it's, I'm giving myself like focuses, but just not for me, for other people as well. So I'm with one of them books that you told me to get. I've been on my normal business, kind of using that to help other people with their mental health, to be fair, and getting them positive vibes. And I've given myself like limits of what I want to do. So by the end of this month, for example, I want to have over 100 listings on Etsy and also on Instagram before I then work on Amazon. At the minute, I'm sitting at 65. So I'm on both. So I've actually done quite well. And then I'm aiming to progress every single month and try and better myself in doing so. But whether or not anyone wants to buy my tack is a different thing. But who cares? As long as I put it out there. Somebody's rubbish is someone's diamond, isn't it? So fingers crossed.
Right. Sam, you weren't around for it. This was a few months ago. I had decided to put some old T-shirts on eBay. I had some old heavy metal. I used to be in the metal scene, but I was thinking maybe get $20 or something, make somebody happy. I made $1,000 in an hour.
Amazing.
On eBay.
Amazing.
With old heavy metal T-shirts. Yeah, people
That's
were
what
like,
I mean. You just don't know, do you? What people, there could be all these bestsellers there and all these genres that everyone's after, but that might not be what they're looking for. That little bit of tack that you think, oh my God, how rubbish was that when I made that, but I still left it on the site, could be your best-selling item in the future. You just don't know. You don't know. So anything and everything, and it's like everybody that's talking to me, as soon as I hear a quote, I'm on my phone, I'm writing it down. I've got books next to me everywhere with quotes in it where people have made a comment on Facebook, or I've got screenshots on my phone of people like making their own little posts up. And I think these are all something that can be used.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then something's going to hit. You know, the old saying, you can't win them all. Well, guess what? You can't lose them all either.
No, that's
Something's
right. You know,
gonna-
and it's like somebody on the low hanging system group today wrote about their sales, and I said, "Well done. I haven't sold yet. I ain't sold nothing, but I've had 120 odd people look. So to me, considering I only put that up on Monday, I think I've done all right. I've had that many people looking, just ain't got the right person to buy it.
2
I still
days.
think, yeah, I still think though, to be fair though, are the prices too high? Because obviously $19.95 in my whole life, I would never buy a mug at that price. I buy mugs all the time, you know. I'm a
Ah.
bargain hunter, £1 shop.
Okay.
You know,
well,
mugs. I'm
fortunately,
a
you're
person
not.
that would-
Yeah, you're not your customer. You're not the entirety
No,
of the
definitely
marketplace. I spent way more than $19.95 on this. Way more.
Really? Yeah, that's a Harley Davidson now. I might
Well,
consider
yeah.
it still before being a Harley.
Okay. I'm just letting you know,
Yeah.
people, it's not about what you need, it's about what you want. And
What
some
you want
people
at that
can't live
particular
without it,
time.
man. I gotta have that. Okay.
Yeah. And that's right. And that's the thing. And I've looked over Etsy and I've seen, yeah, these are going at that price. Okay, I'm sticking there. You know, I'm just waiting for the right person to come along and see my stuff, and maybe I
Well,
might
there's
get
millions of them. It's not the right person. It's millions. Yeah. Thank you, Sam. Glad you're
some. No,
here.
no worries.
Yeah. Chakotay, you've got a hot mic. You got something to say?
No, just watching.
Just sitting there looking beautiful? Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. Glad you're here. Anybody else? Anybody else today in our laid back conversation? All right. Well then, oh, here comes Scott again. Hi,
So
Scott.
just one thing interesting comment was just made about I'm making my stuff and seeing when the right person comes along. I think that's an analogy of life as well. But I think there's a lot to that that concept. I mean, you don't know who's going to resonate with what you put out. So obviously you try and put out things that resonate with people, obviously, because it's a market. But sometimes it is just a question of keep on putting out, keep on promoting, keep on putting yourself there. And when the right person comes along, you'll be ready.
Hmm.
I mean, that's true of relationships. It's true of so many things in life. And I think it's very interesting that was phrased in that way.
Yeah. Well, you see these pearls of wisdom, you never know where they're going to come from.
Exactly.
That's why we record every single one for all of perpetuity onto YouTube. Anyway, thank you, Scott. Thank you all for being here. I'll be back again with you on Friday. Some of you I'm meeting with today on your business launch session, so I'm excited about that. Let's have a great day, and let's make some decisions, right? Because if not now, then when? So good to see you guys.